Hello everyone and welcome to another very awesome game from the Netflix new series The Queen's Gambit, and we've already shown one game, Elizabeth's game versus world champion Vasily Borgov, and while showing you that game I immediately told you which game it was actually based upon from real life, but here we're not going to do that. We're gonna just show you the game and then I'm gonna let you guess who is the player driving the white pieces, as I thought it'd be an interesting thing to try. And in this game, even if you haven't watched the show, like if you want to watch the show first and then come back and check out this video, you're welcome to do so. But I'm not going to be spoiling anything from the show. We're just going to talk about this game, and if not like incredibly careful and watching it like this, you're not going to pick up on a lot of it from the actual show. So here she faces Dudley Dursley from Harry Potter, but also Harry Beltik in this series. Who is one of her adversaries throughout the show, and it's a very incredible attacking game. So let's just dive straight into it and see what you guys make of it. So Elizabeth opens with e4, as she always does. In the final game against Vasily Borgov, we said that like Bobby Fischer, she opened with d4. But okay, we have c6, Beltik goes for the Caro-Kann defense, we have knight to f3, and now d5, striking in the center, attacking the e4 pawn, and Elizabeth goes knight to c3, defends the pawn, and inviting black to try and overextend with the d4. However, this isn't a very good idea, so bishop to g4 instead, pinning that knight, and now immediately h3, asking, do you want to go back with the bishop, do you want to go bishop to h5, or do you want to capture? And here Beltik captures. It is the way to play this variation, and e6 now. So you've eliminated your light square bishop, put all your pawns on light squares, and now you are left with a dark square bishop that's free to roam the squares in between the pawns that are on light squares. We have g3, Beth prepares to fianchetto the light square bishop and castle kingside, and here we have g6. Knight to f6 is what would have been played today if this was a modern game, but as this is based on a fairly old game, we have g6 here. Black prepares to fianchetto the dark square bishop. We have bishop to g2 by Beth preparing to castle, and bishop to g7. And in the game, in the actual show, Beltik just blitzes out all of the moves. He's very strong on theory here, and he knows his Caro-Kann. So here we have castles by Beth, and here it was in this position that Harry Beltik started yawning. He was like, oh, and this really annoyed Elizabeth, as she gets easily annoyed in the series, but you'll see what I mean if you watch the actual series. We have knight to d7. Beltik just continues playing while yawning, and it is as of move 8 that this position has never been reached again. So now we are following that one game that this game in the show is based upon, and queen back to e2, making room for the pawns. Now you can play d4, f4, and so on. So d4 by black, not allowing white to advance the d pawn, and Elizabeth has to go back with the knight. So knight to b1. You could also go to d1, but Elizabeth wants to go to d1, play d3, and then shift the knight into the game this way. We have e5, black strengthens the center, and now d3. The bishop also helps out with the defense of the f4 square, so you are now more than ready to play f4. We have knight to e7. Now Beltik is ready to castle, and f4, while the black king is still in the center of the board. So here queen to c7, adding more defense to the center. The rooks are now, well, almost connected once the king decides where he's going to castle, either kingside or queenside. We have a4, kind of discouraging black from castling queenside, as white will be very quick to start pushing those pawns. So here Beltik decides to castle kingside. We have castles, and Beth now very happy to start an attack against the black king, goes f6. And for the moment, f5. For the moment, the f6 square is defended twice, so you don't have to worry about any pushes of f6, but for that reason, this knight is now stuck here guarding that. So to fix this, Beltik plays f6, prevents white from playing f6 later on, and now you can freely move the knight. So here we have knight to d2. You have to continue developing, and now bishop to h6. Beltik says, okay, once you move the knight, I want to trade off my dark square bishops. I want to play king to h8 and then bring the rook over here, as the g file will probably open up, so I might as well put my rooks on the g file. So here, king h2 by Beth, as she's expecting this. We have king to h8 by Beltik, and now Beth trades once on g6. We have captures, captures, and only now knight to f3. So the knight will be able to come to h4, put some pressure on g6, but in doing so, Beth also allows the exchange of the dark square bishops, and this is what Beltik goes for. Bishop captures on c1, we have rook a captures on c1, and now knight to c5, as the knight can finally move. And now, while you could go for h4, h5, try to bust open the position this way, here Beth attacks the center with c3, as was played in the actual game, which we still don't know which game it is. So here, knight to b3 first. Now there's a double attack on the pawn here. Captures and captures is the idea. So first, knight to b3. Beltik attacks Beth's rook here on c1, so she reacts, of course, to this. Rook c to d1, and now rook a to d8, defending the pawn one more time and saying my position is very nice here. So here, knight to h4 by Beth. Again saying, okay, this knight can't really move, otherwise knight captures on g6 wins the game on the spot. So here, Beltik decides to improve the position of his queen, because this knight is pretty nicely placed, the rooks are very nice, but the queen isn't doing all that much. So queen to c8, preparing to sort of centralize the queen as much as possible. With queen to e6, the queen will be doing a lot there, as well as guarding the knight on b3. So here we have bishop to f3, now preparing to get the bishop into the game with bishop to g4. However, queen to e6 by Beltik, and now bishop to g4 nonetheless. We have queen to f7, and now comes knight to f3. And here you can see it's very dangerous. The queen is on the same file as the rook. Here knight captures on e5 would be very unfortunate for black. So Beltik has to react to this. He moves the queen. Now, of course, knight captures on e5 does nothing. And now Beth continues the attack with h4. We have king to g7. Now the king will also help out with the defense of the pawns, and black might even be able to use the h file for attack. We have rook to f2. White now is ready to double up rooks here on the f file, and rook to d6. And rook to d6 is a bit of an unfortunate move, because after Beth's next move, which is rook d to f1, the rook is kind of misplaced here. You have to bring it back, because knight captures here would be deadly. If the pawn captures, just rook captures, you have to give up the queen, or you just lose a whole rook. It's completely lost. So here you have to go back. This is what Beltik does, and now we have queen to c2. Another way you could try is h5, which also busts open the position. However, here we have queen to c2, and now again could be very dangerous. The queen is now here stuck guarding the knight as the white queen is attacking it, and here black just goes b6, improving the position, preparing to play c5. And if you want to try knight captures on e5 with the idea that maybe everything gets exchanged on f8 and then you pick up the knight, it doesn't work because the king can also capture the rook. We can even show it if some of you don't believe me. Now the queen doesn't have to capture, rather the king captures and the knight is defended. Black is just up a piece. So for the moment it doesn't work. However, we have h5 now. And this is a beautiful moment in the actual show, because this game is based on a game of one of my favorite chess players ever, and there is a stronger move in the position than h5. h5 is a straight out attacking move. However, there is this c4 idea that's considered a lot stronger, and we even have a moment in the show, a few episodes after this actual game is played, Elizabeth meets another chess player who tells her that c4 was actually better in this position, and then she gets very angry, as she often gets angry, and then she sets up the position on the board and checks out if c4 was actually stronger. And here's the little clip from the show where she looks at this position, plays c4, and she realizes, yeah, c4 here would have actually been better. But it's never happened in the show, and it never happened in the actual game. So we're not going to analyze c4, but just to give you an idea of how they were, very detail oriented in the show, which is not surprising, as they had Garry Kasparov and Bruce Pandolfini helping out with everything. Those are the two I know of. There might be others. So here h5, like in the actual game, and here we have c5 by Beltik. So continuing his play on the queen side, we have h captures on g6, and now d captures on c3. We have b captures on c3, and now c4. Now also defending the knight and asking white to mess up his pawn, to mess up her pawn structure. So here d4 instead, grabbing the strong center. We have captures and captures, and here somewhere around this position, I think it was after knight captures on d4, Beltik attacked the queen. He put pressure on the knight. Beth ran off to the bathroom. She said, "I'll be right back," and then she, you know, not gonna spoil anything for you, but there was something happening in the bathroom. You have to watch the series to know what happened in the bathroom. And then she came back, and then she just continued the game. But when she came back, she seemed like a million times more focused than she was prior to her leaving for the bathroom. But okay, here Beth continues with knight captures on d4. We have rook captures on d4, and now the very calm e5. And e5 is a monster move, offering a bishop sacrifice here. However, if the bishop is accepted, e captures on f6 just completely destroys black. For example, you can't really go anywhere. I mean, you're gonna either lose the knight, then you're gonna lose everything. And if you try something like rook captures on f6, there's rook captures on f6, and that's it. You're already up material. Black doesn't really have anything. And if you try some sort of a perpetual with king to h8 check, you're gonna get queen g2, queen a8 check, and now king h3 comes with an attack on the rook. So once you react to this, let's say queen e4, now it's rook f7 check, and you just pick up more material. So it's a very simple position to win. King h6, let's say queen b2, going after the king, and black doesn't have any way of checking the white king, or even trying to achieve some perpetual here. So you might as well offer a queen trade, but after captures, captures, and captures, the knight falls, white is up a whole rook, of course, completely winning. So after this e5 idea, Beltik says, all right, I'm going to play f5, I have no other options, and Elizabeth just plays bishop captures on f5. And now, again, a very interesting moment. There is a way for Beltik to get out of this mess, but he has to play knight captures on f5, and it's very counterintuitive, but we will show it just because it's incredibly interesting. Point is, you have to give up the knight like this, rook captures on f5, and now queen to h8 check. Not give up the knight, I meant trade. King to g2, and now queen to h6, you give up the rook. This is the point, but it's incredibly difficult to find because the threat is rook to d2 check, which would, which would win the white queen. That's the idea. So here, white wouldn't really have the option of capturing the rook. You'd have to play something like rook f7 check, captures, captures with check, and after king to g8, then queen to f5. You have to avoid check, but now black can check the white king with the rook both on d3 and on d2, and that's enough for a draw. Rook d2 check, king f3, you're gonna go rook d3 check, king g2, and so on. If you go king e2, then queen to e3 just wins for black. So here white has to be satisfied with a perpetual. So knight captures on f5 was the way to go here for Beltik, and he could have drawn the game. However, he played queen to d5 here. He wanted to win the game, and well, now you can see that rook to h8 could be very dangerous. The queen also guards h1, so let's say rook h8, king g1, rook to h1 checkmate. Such ideas are in the air. However, here Beth has a beautiful move, in the style of the person that this game is, who actually played the game. So feel free to pause the video and try to find the absolute best move for white while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on your no reverse gear philosophy. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's bishop to e6. Bishop to h3 is also a strong move, but it's not in the spirit of this game. So bishop to e6, attacking the queen. Bishop to e6, always a famous move if you remember Bobby Fischer's game of the century. But now attacking the queen, and also with an attack on the rook on f8. And here Beltik started saying some pretty bad words, and he said this quote above the board, no, like, I can get out of this, and Beth was like, I don't think so. And she was right, kind of. You could get out of this, but you have to be very, very precise. So here, rook to h8 was played. Capturing here just loses the rook, so that's not an option. So rook to h8, check. And now comes, or you could play rook captures on f2 also. We have to consider this because it attacks the white queen. However, after queen captures and queen captures here, queen to f8 is just game over. King captures on g6 and rook f6 check picks up the black queen, and it's all over. So getting back to the actual game, after bishop to e6, we have rook to h8 with check, and now it's, well, if you move king g1, queen to h1 is checkmate, as the rook and queen nicely cover this, but Elizabeth doesn't have to move the king. And here, it's weird, in the actual show, they kind of talk during games, which you don't actually do in real actual tournaments, but Netflix had to make it a little bit more exciting. So here, Bet says, I don't have to, for some reason, she says, I don't have to use my queen, even though there's no reason you could even use your queen here. But okay, bishop to h3, blocking check, and now there's a problem. So what you have to do here is, if you want to even try and save this game for black, you have to play rook to d3, and then you have very good chances, because after rook to f7 check, king g8, and rook captures here, you have rook to d2 check, picking up the white queen. So in fact, you could never pick up the knight. You have to be happy with an idea like rook to f8 check, king g7, and then continue checking with the rook. So this is one way to go about the position. However, after this bishop to h3 move, we have a different idea. Beltik plays knight captures on g6, played it rather quickly, but now, like, well, similarly to the game against Vasily Borgov, Elizabeth goes all in, and, well, it's just a very beautiful idea. Here we have rook to f7 check, king to h6, and now, or rather, we could consider capturing the rook, as giving up the queen for two rooks makes sense sometimes, although not here, because after queen to f5 check, king has to defend the knight, king g7, now queen f6 check, king has to move, and now bishop to f5. Threat of checkmate is here, rook g8, and now e6, e7 is coming, the rook is under attack. It's completely winning for white. This is not even an attempt. So here we have king to h6, and now feel free to pause the video and to win the game for Elizabeth while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on sacrificing your queen yet again in this Queen's Gambit Netflix series, well, series on YouTube. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's queen captures on g6. Brilliant line. And it's actually a forced checkmate in 7 moves. And here, after Elizabeth played queen captures on g6, she asked Beltik again during the game, which is, for those of you who are not chess players and active chess players who are in a chess club, you do not talk to your opponent during a chess game. Like, the only thing you are allowed to ask your opponent is, do you want to draw, or you just say draw. And I don't think like there's anything else you can say. You can say Jadoub if you want to, fix the pieces if they're not centralized, but other than that, not really. But it's a show, so we have to respect that. She says, do you see it now, or should we finish this over the board? And here, it was in this position that Harry Beltik resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. However, I will show the continuation, because in the actual game where this happened, the game continued all the way to checkmate, so we will show it. So the entire game went king captures on g6, rook 1 to f6 check, now driving the king down the board, king to g5, and now rook to f5 with check. We have king to g6, now rook 7 to f6 with check. It was important to have this rook to f5, so when the king moves, you can go to g5 and h5. So king to h7, but now comes rook to h5 with check. The rook on f6 is nicely protected, boxing in the black king. So king to g7, now rook to g5 check. And there is only one square left for the black king, which is the h7 square. And now, who delivers checkmate? Well, of course, our good friend, the bishop. Bishop to f5, and this is now checkmate. So incredible game based on an actual incredible game based on well, one of my absolute favorite chess players. Now, for those of you who have been following the channel for some time, obviously know that this game was played by none other than the great Rashid Gabatovich Nezhmedinov, and he played the game in 1955 in Riga, Latvia. It was the Spartak Team Championship. He played it against Henrik or Genrik, I don't know how it's pronounced, Genrik Kasparian, and it was a brilliant game. But it's super interesting how both Elizabeth and Rashid Nezhmedinov missed the positional c4 and rather went on with the just no reverse gear h5, let's bust open the position and continue this. And I'm very glad they stuck with this in the series. As Elizabeth is portrayed as a really great attacker. She doesn't care about slow playing it. She doesn't care about endgames. She just wants to, sacrifice everything and crush the opponent. But I also enjoyed very much that they actually showed that one of the people she meets during the series shows her that she could have played c4 in that position. So that was really awesome. That's one more game from the Netflix new series, The Queen's Gambit. I do hope you enjoyed it. Maybe we'll show some more, maybe not. We'll see how it goes and how you guys enjoy it. And I also decided to give you a special assignment after watching this video. So I'm gonna show you a very short clip from the series where Elizabeth plays one game against her opponent. We're only gonna show 2 moves, and you guys have to guess which famous game this is. I think it's the most famous game ever played, but just in case you don't know it, we're gonna show it, and I'm sure just by browsing through the comments you will see which game I'm talking about. So here it is. Let's check it out. So here Elizabeth plays it. There you have it. Queen b8, knight captures queen, and there you have it. Rook to d8 is checkmate. In case you missed it, we can check it out again. So let's see that once again. There we go. So I think this is the absolute most famous game ever played. So it was a bit weird for me that they included this as a casual game that was played like quickly. But it was basically a casual game in real life, because the person who played it wasn't really paying all that much attention to the game as the story goes. However, I will put a link to this game in the description below, so if you guys want to check out this entire game that we've just seen, these 2 moves, do check it out. It's an incredible game. And also, if you guys are new to the channel or new to chess, and if you enjoy a game such as this one, do check out the most viewed video on my channel, a game by none other than Rashid Gabatovich Nezhmedinov, which this game is based upon. Also will be the first link in the description below. Features the greatest queen sacrifice in chess history, or so I believe. That's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. Hope you guys have got a chance to watch the show now, as it's I think it's the most popular show on Netflix in like all the countries. So people are getting into chess. I mean, what more can we hope for? So I'm very happy about that. That's why I decided to show another game, and we might show even another one. So we'll see. So like I said, I do hope you enjoyed the game. I would like to thank Berosh Dadari, Dylan Streeter, Fred Ackerman, Alan Ferns, and Liam Daniel Connolly for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of the Morphy saga, checking up on your wonderful suggestions, and whatever else happens in the chess world, like the Queen's Gambit, as like I said, we might show a few more games. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.